So today we will discuss about the poem, a very romantic poem, a very celebrated romantic poem that is called the Ozymandias, written by P.B. Shelley. Okay, so written by P.B. Shelley. So this is a very famous poem by P.B. Shelley. So first, I just want to grab attention of all the students that I have written the name first a very beautiful way, that is Ozymandias, and the second one is written in a very fragmented style later here. It symbolizes that Shelley has uses this type of technique to make a connection that the poem is a very fragmented poem. The poet has not used any kind of proper style of a sonnet. Okay, so this is a sonnet. This is a 14 line poems. The poem is a 14 lines poem with the form of a sonnet. So 14 line poem. Okay, with the form of a sonnet, but the poet has not used a proper sonneterian form of any kind of sonnet, that is a Petrarchan sonnet and the sonnet of the Shakespeare, means the Shakespearean sonnet. The poet has not used any kind of sonneterian form of either the Petrarchan or the Shakespearean sonnet. So that's why I have written the title of the poem in a very fragmented style, that is here OZMAN, in a very fragmented style, because the Shelley also wanted to mean the reader that the poem is not followed any kind of sonneterian form, and the meaning and what it means, why did not the poet use the kind of any kind of sonneterian form, why? The reason is that the poet wanted to mean that nothing is permanent. The theme of the poem is nothing is permanent in the world. Nothing is permanent. Everything is transitory. The nature of the world in the world. That's why the poet has used this kind of statement, and the poet has not used the any sonneterian form to make the poem a clear indication that everything in the world is fragmented and everything will be decayed, when whether it was a very prominent thing at a time, but it will be fragmented or totally been decayed and destroyed with the time. The time has destroyed everything. The very valiant king, the very social famous, or the name or fame will be the subject of decay and destruction later. Okay, so that's why the poet has used that kind of themes, and I have also written the name in a very significant way, which conveyed the meaning that the poem is a poem that means the fragment of time and the transitoriness of time. Okay, so the poem is very beautifully constructed by Shelley, and it is a poem. Here the most of the poem, the Shelley has used a very significant poetic form, that is called symbolism. The very effective poetic device in the poem which is used by the Shelley is symbolism. Okay, so what is symbolism? So first we have to we have to learn that what is symbolism. What symbolism means? That means, for example, I'm just going to tell you that what symbolism actually is. Okay, so what is symbolism? For example, the pigeon, pigeon, pigeon. If I use the symbol of a pigeon, it means the peace. Okay, for example, if I use the sign of any kind of heart sign, okay, any kind of heart sign, heart, HEART, heart sign, so it means heart sign means it means love. So we use something to mean something different. Okay, this is called symbolism. Okay, understood? That the poet, I have written the name of a pigeon, and I wanted to mean the peaceful nature, the peace of the particular situation. Okay, so that's why here the poet is also used symbolism. What kind of symbolism the poet has used? The poet has used the symbol of a very statue. The statue, STATU, statue, which is the fragmented statue, fragmented That means the statue is not totally destroyed, but some parts are destroyed, some parts are being fragmented and destroyed, and it is scattered everywhere on the particular sand of a desert. Okay, and the setting of the poem is the setting of the poem is where the setting of the poem is the land of Pharaoh, the land of Pharaoh. Okay, so where the poem is set, the poem is set on the land of the Pharaoh. So land of the Pharaoh means here the Egypt. That means the Egypt, Egypt. The land of the Pharaoh means the Egypt. Okay, so the fragmented statue, what it means? That the statue of the famous king. What is the name of the king? The Ramses, Ramses the second, the very famous king. His reign is regarded as the golden period of the Pharaoh's kingdom in the land of the Egypt. Okay, but whether he was a very famous king, Ramses, he is the famous king, and the imperial power was at the peak of his time. Okay, so when he was the king of the particular area, particular land, the age or the kingdom or the reign of the particular duration of his reign will be regarded as the imperial at his peak of his particular time. Okay, but though he was a very famous king, then Ozymandias is the symbolic name of the king, the Ramses the two, the pharaoh king of the Ramses the two. The Ozymandias is the name which is used for the Egyptian king Ramses the two. It is a symbolic name. Ozymandias is a symbolic name which is used for the king Ramses the two. And someone says, or some critic says, it is the name of the Napoleon. Napoleon. So this is the name of the, also it indicates the name of the Napoleon, the reign of the Napoleon. Though it was very famous, we know that the time of the Napoleon was very famous for his kingdom and for his rules and regulations, and it was the golden era of his time. But at the time of the when the time changes and with the flow of the time, all the kingdom remains as a statue, as a fragmented statue. So that's why whatever we have in the present time will be decayed and destroyed in the future. And okay, just write all those things, all those points. Okay, I'm just giving you some extra point about the particular things. Okay, so the next the first one is it is a theme of symbolism. The next one is, it is an ironical poem. What is the irony? The irony is that the poem is pointed out the fragmented nature of the time. Okay, the third thing is the ultimate triumph of nature over human hubris. That means the nature will destroy each and everything, whatever it may be. For example, the Mughal Empire. Okay, so the Mughal Empire was at that particular time was a very symbolic empire, and that with the flow of time it has also been destroyed and fragmented. It was also being destroyed and fragmented for the time being. So that's why this is a poem. This is also the poem which the ultimate triumph of nature. That means nature will destroy each and everything. What is famous in present will be destroyed in the future. So that is the human ultimate triumph of nature. Nature will destroy everything. Nature will change everything. So, and the over human hubris. That means whatever human has done will be destroyed in the by the nature in the future. Okay, but the Shelley has commented down that the most important thing is that the persistence of art, the persistence of art, persistence of art, the persistence of art and poetry, that means whatever will be destroyed, the art and the poetry can save the time and also can make it famous when the time will flow and nothing will remain in the world. The poetry will remain, the art will remain, and the art and the poetry will enliven the particular theme of the poem. That means if I make any kind of art and if I write any kind of poetry about something, then this will be an ever living thing. It will be a very ephemeral or perpetual. This will never be fragmented or never be destroyed with the time. Why? Because I have made it an immortal by creating an art or any kind of poetry, and I have written a poetry about that particular thing. So that's why I have made the things and immortal things by writing poetry or creating any kind of art. Okay, so that's why the persistence of art and poetry, that means if we make something in a very poetic way, or if we make any kind of art with the theme, then the theme will be remain forever. Okay, the particular theme. And the fifth is the fifth point is the most important thing is that here the political critic. That means here the poet, the political critic, the poet here beautifully criticized the political power of that particular time. Of what time? That means the political power of a time when the Ramses II was the king of the pharaoh in a particular land of Egypt. His kingdom was the very much heightened. It touched the heightenity of the imperial things or the kingdom. So that's why no one even ever thought that the kingdom will be destroyed such a way. And the king also made several statues in the land of the Egypt to make him a very famous king. And he also told the reader or the others person that if anyone asks that what is the imperiality or the famous of the king, then let him see all those statues whatever I have made, and I have made me famous by creating all those things which will never be destroyed with the destroyed nature of the time. Okay, so that is the political critic. The five themes are very much important, and here the particular thing is what is the most important is it is a frame narrative. It is a frame narrative. It is a frame narrative. That means what is frame narrative? What is frame narrative? This is the most important thing. This is a frame narrative. What is frame narrative? The frame narrative is that the poet does not, I'm just writing the particular thing. Okay, just note it down. What is frame narrative? Frame narrative is it is a second hand perspective. It is a second hand perspective. That means perspective. That means the poet does not directly spoke to the statue. That means the frame narrative is the poet has made a particular traveler, and he has created an ancient traveler. The poet has created an ancient traveler. So that's why it is a second hand perspective. For example, the poet does not directly question the statue. The poet has created an ancient traveler. The traveler is asking the question to the statue. So that's why it's a second hand perspective poem. Okay, and the traveler is described, and the traveler is asking, and also the traveler is addressed as the traveler of an antique land. The traveler is addressed as the traveler from an antique land. Traveler from an antique land. That means the poem is here described the traveler on antique land or the ancient land. So that means that time of the poem or when the traveler came is totally unknown. The antique means very many years ago. That means it describes the history of a very older time, the history of a very older time where there was nothing and the traveler came to the particular spot and also question the particular poet, and the poet, no, that means the king, and he also came and wanted to see that whatever was the very famous thing now become a theme of destroyed and the destruction and the decay. Okay, so that is the most important thing. Okay, so this is the thing you have to remember, and whatever I'm going to just tell you that this is not a poem. The poet has not used any kind of proper stanza, proper যেটাকে আমরা বলি যে সনেট তো সনেট has two part, octave and the sestet, the sestet, SESTED. So octave comprises 8 lines and the sestet comprises 6 lines. So 8 plus 6 equal to 14. Okay, the poet has used the two particular fragmented style, but the poet has not used any kind of rhyming scheme. So every sonnet has a proper rhyming scheme. In a Petrarchan sonnet there is a proper rhyming scheme, and in the Shakespearean sonnet there is also a particular rhyming scheme, but the poet has used here a different rhyme scheme which is not related to neither the Petrarchan sonnet nor the Shakespearean sonnet. The poet has used a separate rhyming scheme. The rhyme scheme of the poem is, I'm just writing it down, the rhyme scheme where what the poet has used, it is also symbolic. The rhyme scheme is also symbolic. The rhyme scheme is a fragmented rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme is that A B C D C, C D C, A B the octave is A B A C D C, the octave. 8 lines, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and the sestet is E D E F E F. Okay, the octave is eta, the sestet is this. Okay, and you have just that see that there is not a proper rhyme scheme, and this rhyme scheme is also symbolic. The rhyme scheme, the scattered rhyme scheme, it is called scattered rhyme scheme, and this is also symbolic. The poet, by using this kind of rhyming scheme, wants to convey the message to the reader that the theme of the poem is a very fragmented. The power is very fragmented. The power is not permanent. It will be decayed over the time and over the time of the particular age. So this is also a very fragmented style, and the style is also very symbolic. Okay, so let's read the poem line by line. I will give you some reference whenever we will read the poem. Okay, so let's read the poem. Okay, write it down, all those things. So the very first line is that I met a traveler from an antique land who said, just open your book and just read the line. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, the vast and trunk-like lays of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies. So what is the meaning of the visage? So visage means the face of the particular king or the statue. Okay, the visage means the face bolte paro, or the appearance bolte paro. Appearance, it is called appearance, and also the visage means the person's character and emotions, all are settled down. That means the person's emotion, character, the person and the statue and the face, all are scattered down, and just it was scattered on the sand. Okay, near them. So the traveler is the came and just examined the particular land, that whenever it was a big statue and a big kind of palaces was there, and they thought that their kingdom will never be ended, never be settled down. But with that time, their kingdom also been settled down, and all those things are scattered on the particular sand. And a half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lips and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor oiled those passions red, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them, and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear: My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, a mighty and despair. Nothing beside remains round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sand stretched far away. So that means the poet is also here is want to mean, what the poet wanted to mean, that the poet is wants to mean that the particular thing which, that means my name is Ozymandias. I mean, it is a quotation. The last line, it is the quotation of the particular that means the particular poet or the king, that if anyone asks me about me, then tell me that I am the Ozymandias, the king of kings, the king of kings, the king of kings. That the particular thing is that the king of kings, that is the so much valiant, the king was so much proud about his kingdom, and he said that I am the king of kings, I am the supreme king of the universe, so I will never be destroyed, my kingdom will never be settled down, and the sun of that my kingdom will never be set. Okay, but and whatever I have done, look at my works. Look at my works means, look, whatever I have done. I have made several statues over the land. I have made several statues, several palaces over the land, and all those things will remain forever. But with the flow of time, and the last line is nothingness. That means the nothing beside remains. That means now in the present nothing beside remains. That means whatever he has made is not remained now. Of that particular time, in the present time, everything is just shattered down, everything is just decayed, and everything is just totally being shattered down, totally, and nothing remained. Whatever is remained, the scattered things, the very symbolic statue, and this was totally being broken down from everywhere. And that means that whatever is permanent is not permanent in a very time being. The permanent is very, the word permanent is transitory. Here the word the word permanent is transitory. The word is a transitory word, because we know that nothing is permanent in the world. So that's why the poet has here used that whatever king of kings, look at my works, and then the next line is nothing beside remains round the decay. That means round the clock, round the time of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare. And this is and all those things are lying bare here, the lone and levels and stretched far away, the most important line. And here is also the repetition of the line, the lone and levels. The last line is the poetic device repetition, or যেটাকে আমরা বলি যে alliteration, not repetition, it is the alliteration. It is alliteration. Okay, so this the last line is the alliteration, the lone and levels and stretched far away. That means the land when many people were there and they were just praising their kingdom, their king, and now the land is also lonely and the levels of stretched far. And if you see the very stretch of the land, the far away of the land, you will see the scattered kingdom, you will see everything that has been decayed, and the sand has covered each and every scattered things, and something are being sank down. That means the scattered things also sunk. That means this was sunk under the particular land. That means the land, and all those things are sunk down. Some things are sunk down, something are over the land, and something are became the underground of the land, of the decade of that. So that's why the poem is very much famous about all those useful things. Okay, and this is a most famous poem, and this signifies that the very transitory nature of the particular time. And Shelley here, Shelley was very much, Shelley was actually very much interested in those all kind of history and historical place. And Shelley has many other poems. That means Alastair. Shelley has other poem Alastair. It is also Alastair. Alastair. The poem is also has the type of theme just like the history, related to the history and the decade of the history. So Shelley has used all those things to make the other person realize that what is permanent is not actually permanent with the flow of the time. Okay, and the romantic poet and romantic poets are the very much imaginative. They imagine that I have whatever I have. I am a famous poem, and I will also die. But the poet is also wanted to. The poet is also wanted to make one thing is permanent. That is the art and the statue. Art and the statue and the craft all those things will remain, but the person will never be remain. The art, the statue, the craft will remain. Okay, the poet is also immortalize the particular art and the poetry. Art and the poetry, the poet wanted to make it immortalize. Art and poetry, it is immortalize. That means the king will die, everything will be decayed, but whatever is art and poetry will remain the same with the flow of the time. Okay, so this is the poem is all about, and the theme and the setting all is the this is okay. Thank you.